characters, incidents, names, and situations used in this story are fictitious. The resemblance to any person living or dead is purely coincidental. The following video contains some horror elements and suitable for a mature audience, 16 plus. This channel and video is not for kids.
Hello friends, I am Aryan and welcome to our channel Midnight Horror Stories, where you get to hear true and scary ghost stories. In our channel you will get to hear true and scary stories every Tuesday and Saturday. But before starting the story, all the friends who have come to this channel for the first time, please subscribe to the channel, and if you like the story, then definitely introduce yourself in the comment section. Then let's do not take much time and start our story quickly. In a narrow street of the city of Rajasthan, there was silence everywhere at night. Most of the houses were adjacent to each other. It was rainy season, but it wasn't raining properly. If it had been a while, it would have disappeared for a while. In such a situation, the frequent coming of light was making people restless due to the increase in humidity from above. Due to the adjacent houses to each other, the air was also not passing properly. That is why the suffocation had increased even more. There was a house in the same street where two girls used to live on rent, Reena and Sanjana. That house belonged to Reena's aunt, but they had been living abroad for 6 years. While Reena was a resident of Patna and Sanjana was a resident of Katihar, both the girls went to Rajasthan to prepare for NEET. They did not find much facility in the hostel. That's why they rented Reena's aunt's house. Both of them studied in the same coaching together. That night too, they were both sitting in different rooms and studying. The house wasn't very big. There were 2 rooms downstairs and a room upstairs, and then there was a terrace at the top. It was almost 1 a.m., but Reena and Sanjana's focus was still on studies as there was a test in coaching the next day. It was drizzling lightly outside. There was also a light breeze, but the frequent visits of the light affected his studies. It was very disturbing. In such a situation, at around 5:15 p.m., someone knocked on his door. Both of them heard the sound and both of them came out of the room together. Sanjana said that time is enough. Who would have come to our house at this time? Reena said, yes man, I don't know. Is there a thief or a crook? Sanjana laughed and said, where will the thieves come here and what do we have anyway? Let's go and see. Reena and Sanjana go to the door together. When Sanjana opens the door, she sees a woman standing at least 8 to 10 steps away from the door who is wrapped in a sari and has a long veil. Reena and Sanjana look at each other in amazement. Then Sanjana takes a few steps forward and says, who are you? What do you need? The woman says in a low voice, I am hungry. I'll get some food. Sanjana looks at Reena and asks with a gesture. Then Reena also comes 2 steps forward and says, man, we ate whatever food we had cooked. Now I don't have to eat. Hearing this, Sanjana says to the woman, sorry Amma, there is no food. Shall I give you the money? The woman is silent for a while. Then she says, give me 5 cloves of cloves. This as soon as Reena and Sanjana hear this, they wonder why this woman is asking for clove seeds. Cloves are spices that are found in vegetables. Sanjana says cloves are not the same as those we put in vegetables. The woman nods in the affirmative. Then suddenly Reena says, sorry mother, cloves are not in the house. The woman says, son, take a look at the house. Maybe there is a rash. Then suddenly it starts raining, and the rain also comes with a boom. Sanjana starts getting wet, so goes back to the threshold and stands up, and Reena also stands behind. It does. Seeing both of them going into the house, the woman also goes close to them and says, give the clove seeds. Now Sanjana and Reena feel strange that when we refused that there are no cloves, then why is this woman asking us now? When it started raining fast, Sanjana gets a little nervous because she was also worried about her test. In such a situation, Sanjana does not like the woman's insistence at all. She angrily says, Amma is not clove. Go and ask it from another house. Saying this, Sanjana grabbed Reena's hand and took her inside. She goes and quickly closes the door on the woman's face. The woman is deeply hurt by Sanjana's act. She gets angry. She feels as if Sanjana insulted her. She also grits her teeth in anger and knocks on the door once again. But Sanjana doesn't open the door. Sanjana says to Reena, oh, this is their job. They go to sleep. We also have to get up in the morning. There was also a window right next to the door, the sides of which were open and the curtain was also shrunk to one side. When both Sanjana and Reena were walking towards the room,
then Reena was looking back at the window. Reena sees the woman peeking in through the window. Panic arises in Reena's mind, but then she also ignores and goes inside. Sanjana and Reena were lying in their respective rooms. Sanjana was asleep, but Reena was not able to sleep. For half an hour, Reena keeps tossing and turning. Then when he glanced at the clock, it was 2 o'clock. Reena sits up. Then I don't know what comes to his mind. She thinks of going out. In his mind right now, she was that strange woman. Reena, thinking of this, she goes out to see if she's a woman or not. And as soon as Reena leaves the room and peeks at the window, suddenly the woman comes in front of Reena. Reena screams, screaming. The woman also grabs Reena's hand. Sanjana had heard Reena's screams. She also wakes up nervously. As he walks out of the room, his eyes fall on Reena, who was trying to free herself from the woman. Sanjana runs to Reena and starts pulling her. Then suddenly, with a gust of wind, the woman's veil lifts up, and seeing her face, Sanjana and Reena scream badly. They both screamed so loudly that the eyes of the people around were opened. Sanjana and Reena see that half of the woman's face is completely shattered. The bone inside is clearly visible, whereas half of it is perfectly fine. Seeing this, Reena and Sanjana pull themselves back with all their heart and finally free themselves from the woman. In the meantime, the people in the neighborhood get up and start knocking on their door. Sanjana and Reena were still nervous. They felt that the woman was somewhere. It is not. But then a boy from the neighborhood peeks into the window and says, "Hey, what happened, sister? Why scream?" Only then does Sanjana and Reena get some comfort. Then Sanjana dares to open the door and finds the neighbors in front of her. They come into the house and take care of those two girls. When Sanjana tells the neighbors about the woman, they are also surprised because they did not know who the woman was and no one had heard of her or seen her before. At present, the neighbors give instructions to the two friends and go to their homes. Sanjana and Reena lock the house and go to sleep in the same room with the windows well closed. They couldn't even sleep well that night. The next day, somehow Sanjana and Reena come out of that shock and go to their coaching classes. Both were sitting separately in their seats. Reena, whose focus was now entirely on her test paper. Suddenly there is a sound in his ears as if there is a lot of noise outside, and that's why when she looks up at the door, her eyes are torn. Reena sees the same woman at the door who was asking for cloves last night. Seeing that woman, Reena stands up in panic and keeps staring at the door. Seeing Reena in this way, the teacher present in the class scolds Reena. "What's the matter, Reena? Is there a problem? What are you looking at outside?" Reena glances at the teacher and was about to tell him that the woman disappears. Reena just keeps pointing her hand towards the door. I can't speak. Then he feels that it is not right to say this here. So she says sorry to the teacher and starts writing her paper again. Sanjana was also sitting in the same class. Looking at Reena's face, she understands that Reena is probably scared of the night. Reena and Sanjana meet after the classes are over. Sanjana asks Reena what happened to you at that time, when you were writing the paper. Then Reena tells Sanjana, "Man, I saw that woman. She was standing outside our classroom." Sanjana says in surprise, "Why would she come here?" "She can't come here. Guards stand outside." Reena says, "Yes, that's what I don't understand either. I don't know if I was delusional or if I really saw the woman." Sanjana says, "You will be there. Don't think so much. And by the way, why did you need to go to that window last night?" Reena says, "Man, I wasn't sleeping well. Again and again my attention was on the woman. I just went to see if the woman was gone. But you saw how weird she was. She was insisting." Sanjana says, "Yes, that's why I got so angry with him." Reena and Sanjana talk. "I was walking down the street. Just then Sanjana stops the auto and they both leave to go to their room. His auto passes by a deserted society where no one was visible nearby. In such a situation, Reena, who was sitting on the edge of the auto and was looking in the side mirror, suddenly she once again sees the same woman who is running behind their auto with great speed. Seeing this, Reena gets very nervous and grabs Sanjana's hand. Seeing him nervous, Sanjana also asks, "What happened?" Reena looks back from the auto and finds that the woman is really following them. Reena stammers and says, Sanjana, that woman is coming after us. She's following us." Then Sanjana also tries to look back, but that's when his auto turns at a turn and then the woman stops appearing. Sanjana says, "Are you sure? Did you see that woman? Maybe you have a delusion. There's a woman coming from behind." Reena says, "No, Baba, I'm telling the truth. It was the same dirty sari and the same veil. And if there was any other woman, it would be in our auto. Why was she running back? I think Sanjana is chasing us." Sanjana explains to Reena and says, "Don't worry, it's just about to come home." They get out of their lane. Sanjana looks around her closely. There was nowhere to be seen because it was noon, it was hot on top, everyone was in their homes. They both go home. She takes a bath and then starts cooking. While cooking, Reena says to Sanjana, "Dude, I was telling my father that the hostel is fine. Come tired of coaching. Then come to the room and cook." They get too tired.
Sanjana says, yes, he is, but man, our money is also being saved in this. Somehow, mom and dad are getting coaching. That's the big deal. They were just talking to each other when someone knocked on their door once again. The door was knocked on 3 times. Sanjana says, I will see. You take care of the cooker. As soon as Sanjana opens the door, she does not find anyone in front of her. When she came out of the house, there was no one around. Sanjana also calls out, who was it? But there is no answer. She comes back to the house and goes to Reena and says that I don't know, man. Maybe there was a child. No one showed up. Then Reena says that Sanjana is that woman. Reena is not even able to complete her words. Sanjana says, oh Reena, how have you fallen after that woman? I believe that the woman was very scary. But the woman is gone now. So don't think too much. If she thinks too much, she will not be able to focus on studies. And don't forget that you have also come from the village and I have also come from the village. For people like us, education is a big deal. To us, you don't get a chance again and again. Therefore, I diverted my attention from all these things and focused on my studies. Reena seems to be right about Sanjana. So she nods yes. Then the two eat together. The whole day is spent studying and working. Then night comes. After eating, both of them sit down to study. Reena almost falls asleep, but Sanjana was still studying. There was silence all around. Just then, a voice comes in Sanjana's ears. The night is thick, silent, and the storm sways in the turban. The white mother is in Assam's heartbeat. The earth cries the sound of the moon, the light of the moon, the light of the night. The lips play. Gradually the sound becomes louder. Sanjana feels like someone is standing at her door singing these lines. Sanjana doesn't delay now. She quickly walks over to Reena and picks her up. Reena wakes up in her sleep and says, what happened? Why are you nervous? Sanjana says, Reena, is anyone outside? Hearing this, Reena's sleep completely blows away. She also panics and says, who's out there? When his eyes go to the clock, it was 10:30. Sanjana nervously says she doesn't know. A while ago, someone knocked on the door and then I started hearing a song. It was like someone was standing at our door and singing. Reena says, let's go and see. Sanjana says, yes, I was scared to go alone. That's why I have come to pick you up. They both open the door and find the same woman in front of them. This time the woman had a plate in her hand. The woman holds out the plate and says, give me the food. But Reena and Sanjana get scared to see the woman and quickly close the door. Home means there was a little space in the door from the bottom. Sanjana and Reena had moved away from the door. But the woman slips that plate in from under the door. As soon as the plate comes in, the substance inside it falls off. It was a thick reddish substance. Reena and Sanjana get scared to see the red substance as they guess that it is probably blood. Reena started screaming. But Sanjana handles him and says, Reena, please take care of yourself, or else the neighbors will wake up again like last night. The door is locked. That woman can't come in. Reena keeps staring at the door and finally realizes that the woman really can't come in anymore. But this was a big misunderstanding on their part. They couldn't even imagine how big a mystery it was for the plate to come in. After some time, when Reena calms down, Sanjana tells Reena to sit down peacefully. Nothing. That woman must be angry, so she came back. It is now gone. You sit down. I'll make it clear. But Reena says to Sanjana, what is all this? Don't clean it. It seems to me to be a different matter. Sanjana says,
What and what matter? Reena says, yes, it's blood. After all, whose blood is this? And why did that woman bring blood to us? Sanjana, is she a ghost or a witch? Sanjana starts laughing at Reena's words. Sanjana's laughter in that serious moment irritated Reena a lot. She angrily says, Sanjana, I am saying seriously. I think there's something else and you are laughing. Sanjana says, oh, I am laughing that you are educated and believe in such things. There is a limit. Reena says, hey, I said this should happen. Maybe. There were a lot of stories in our village. There are also ghosts and stories related to such women. You are also from the village. This kind of thing is common there. Do you not believe in these things? Sanjana says, no, it is wrong to believe in all these things. See, we are not educated because we believe all these things, and anyway, we are the doctors of the future. If you say this in front of anyone, people will laugh at you or refuse to accept you as a doctor. You go and sit in the room. I clean it up. I do. Reena quietly goes inside and Sanjana starts cleaning that blood. By the way, Sanjana was using a cloth to clean the blood. Still, he gets some blood on his hand, and wherever there is blood, he starts getting burnt. Sanjana finds this quite strange. But still, she quickly cleans the blood and quickly reaches out to her hands and finds that her hand has red marks as if the skin has been burnt. Sanjana looks at the fingers of her hands very closely and thinks that by going to Reena. Explain. But the next moment she decides not to tell Reena because she knew that Reena was very scared. Sanjana was lying on her bed after cleaning when she realized that there was someone under her bed. Someone is breathing heavily. Panic was beginning to arise in Sanjana's mind. I don't know why he was starting to feel nervous like Reena. She slowly looked down as she lay on her bed. When she looked down, she didn't see anything, but then the books started falling from her desk on their own and Sanjana panicked downstairs. Fallen. When Sanjana's eyes went to the books, she saw that the book was also falling down and opening on its own and the pages were flying in the air. Seeing this, Sanjana was terribly shocked. She put her hand over her mouth. Her eyes widened to see what was happening. She wanted to call out to Reena, but there was no sound coming out of his mouth. Even his ability to think and understand was gone. She couldn't even stand. Suddenly everything calmed down. All the books stopped on the ground on their own and then stacked them one on top of the other. She fell on her head. Sanjana was getting hurt a lot by this and then finally she screamed. Hearing Sanjana's screams, Reena's eyes opened. She also sat down nervously. Then she realized that this voice was Sanjana's. She thought of going to Sanjana's room without delay. I saw that the door was closed. Reena knocked on the door but Sanjana was neither opening the door nor saying anything. Reena was constantly banging on the door. Now she was afraid. She was thinking that something might go wrong with Sanjana. Reena tries to peek inside from the crowd. And it makes a sound. Sanjana, Sanjana, open the door. What happened to Sanjana? After a lot of effort, Reena tries to open the door, then the door opens. When she goes inside, she sees Sanjana lying unconscious on the ground. Reena tries to lift Sanjana, but she doesn't get up. At that time, it was late at night. She doesn't know how to manage all this alone. Then she thinks of going to the neighbor's house and was just leaving the room thinking that Sanjana regains consciousness. She starts to moan in pain. Sanjana, seeing her coming to her senses, immediately goes to Sanjana and handles her. Reena asks Sanjana lying on the bed, "What happened to Sanjana? How did you faint? Aren't you feeling well?" Sanjana says yes, maybe she got sick. "I need water." Reena quickly gives Sanjana a drink. Sanjana lies down with her eyes closed. Reena sits close to Sanjana for a long time. Sometimes she squeezed her hands, sometimes her feet. Touching Sanjana showed that she might have a fever. That's why Reena also gives him a fever tablet. When Reena feels that the night is getting darker, so she says to Sanjana, "Okay Sanjana, you rest, I also go to sleep. If you need anything, let me know." When Reena was leaving the room, she noticed one thing in the room, that Reena's books were lying on the ground. She turns around and asks Sanjana, "Sanjana, why are you keeping these books on the ground?" But the next moment, Sanjana had fallen into a deep sleep. Sanjana doesn't respond to Reena's words. She lay with her eyes closed.
Oblivious. Reena doesn't think it's right to ask again, and she closes the door and goes to her room. The next morning, when Reena was sleeping, her alarm was about to go off when a sound came to her ears. This voice was from the same song that Sanjana had heard. The night was filled with thick silence, and the sound was coming to Reena right close to her ears. As soon as she hears that voice, Reena immediately gets up and sits down and finds Sanjana sitting at her head and singing a song. Sanjana has a Rubik's Cube in her hand, which she is solving. Sanjana's voice is also a bit, it looked like a cloud, but part of the voice was Sanjana's. Reena immediately asks Sanjana, "Sanjana, you are here so early in the morning?" Reena's alarm also rings and Reena jumps right away. Sanjana looks at Reena strangely and says, "What happened? Why are you scared? The alarm has already sounded." Reena says, "Yes, she was asleep, but what are you doing in my room?" Sanjana says, "Why? I keep coming and going in your room." Reena says, "Yes, that's what she was asking." "Well, did you take a bath?" Sanjana laughs at this. Reena finds Sanjana's behavior a bit strange. She asks again, "What happened, Sanjana? Why are you laughing? Did you take a bath?" Sanjana says, "You have to take a bath, don't you? Go take a bath. I'll take a shower after a while." Saying this, Sanjana walks out of Reena's room in a slow pace. Reena gathers her hair and thinks that Sanjana looks a bit changed. I don't know if everything is okay with the poor girl. At the moment, Reena finishes her chores and gets ready to go coaching. But that's when his attention goes to Sanjana. He's probably still in his room. Reena goes to the room and finds Sanjana lying on the bed and looking towards the ceiling. She still has the same Rubik's Cube in her hand and wasn't even ready to go coaching. Rina asks Sanjana what happened to Sanjana. Aren't you going to coaching today? Sanjana looks at the ceiling and says no. Rina says, well, maybe you are not well. Okay, you rest at home. I am leaving. Lock the door. Rina goes to her coaching and is at home when she comes back. As soon as he enters, he starts getting a strange smell. The smell of burning flesh calls out to Rina Sanjana. Sanjana comes out of the kitchen and says, change quickly, I'll get food for you. Rina says, that's fine, but you don't smell like a meat burning or burning leather. Sanjana says, no, I can't smell anything. Maybe that's why you came from outside. Rina also agrees to Sanjana's words and comes out after changing her clothes. Then, as soon as Sanjana brings a vegetable in a bowl for her, Rina is left wide in surprise. Suddenly, she starts vomiting and immediately runs to the bathroom. Sanjana says, hey Rina, what happened? What happened? But Rina vomits a lot. When she feels okay, she comes out angrily and says to Sanjana, Sanjana, what is this rudeness? What was that? Sanjana asks, what? Rina says, what was there in the food? Sanjana says, in the food? What else was mutton in the food? Rina screams angrily, Sanjana, your mind is fine? You brought meat into the house, and he also the goat. Sanjana says, hey, why are you so angry? Meat is meat, whether it's a goat or a human. If a human was not available, then it was only a goat. Rina starts getting surprised at Sanjana's words, and she says, Sanjana, I think you are out of your mind. You've been behaving strangely since morning. Sanjana ignores Rina's words and sits down to eat. Sanjana sees that Sanjana is eating the mutton curry with great relish. Rina was still disgusted. She says to Sanjana, Sanjana, you have gone mad. What? You forgot that we don't make non-veg in our house. Neither you nor I eat non-veg. So why are you bringing all this and eating it? But Sanjana was engrossed in her food. She doesn't pay attention to anything Rina. While Rina was trying to stop him again and again, and then in anger, Rina also grabs Sanjana's hand. She says, just Sanjana. Is it? I won't let you eat all this. I won't let you eat. I won't let you cook at home. Then Sanjana angrily says, let go of my hand. This house is not yours. Hearing this, Rina immediately took Sanjana's hand.
Because it wasn't really his house. On top of that, Sanjana's anger scares Rina. She takes a few steps back from Sanjana and realizes that something paranormal is happening with Sanjana. Sanjana's appearance also seemed to change a bit. Half of her face hung strangely full of wrinkles. Rina gets so nervous seeing Sanjana that she quietly goes to her room and locks herself. Sitting in the room, he gets evening. She neither goes out to eat or drink anything nor meet Sanjana for. The water kept in Rina's room was also exhausted. Rina's throat was dry. He was also losing his life in the heat. The light had gone out from above. In such a situation, he was suffocating in the room. She couldn't stay in the room any longer. Rina picks up her small keypad mobile and lights its torch. She dares to go out. On the way out, he could hear the sound of the same song that Sanjana was humming while sitting on his head. Sanjana's voice was coming from her room. Rina's heart is heard humming once again, begins to tremble. She nervously goes to the kitchen and starts returning with water in the glass. Suddenly, he realizes that someone is standing behind him, and in this panic, the jug also slips from his hand. At the same time, Rina looks back and finds Sanjana close to her, who was smiling and staring at her. Seeing Sanjana's face, Rina covers her face. Sanjana's face was normal. But still, I don't know why Rina was scared. Then Sanjana puts her hand on Rina's head and says, Rina, what is the matter? Why are you so afraid of me? Rina slowly removes her hand from her face and pulls away from Sanjana and says, no, I am not afraid. I came to get water. But Sanjana starts getting close to Rina and asks Rina, good, but I am hungry. Could you give me some food? Rina looks at the utensils kept around which were empty. That is, Sanjana also did not make anything. Rina says, food? But I haven't even cooked yet. Sanjana, who was smiling till now, slowly starts turning her face into anger. She says angrily, but I am hungry. What should I eat?
Don't you have a little bit of food? Reena gets nervous seeing Sanjana and slowly starts sliding towards the door. But then Sanjana stops the way to the door and comes in front of Reena and says, Okay, give me 5 grains of cloves, not roti. Hearing this, the ground slips under Reena's feet. Then slowly Reena's hair starts to fly in the wind. Suddenly, the light comes on. As soon as the light comes, Reena's attention goes to her mobile phone. But he left that phone there. She thinks and tries to go out. But Sanjana was not removing her hand. Reena stammers and says, Sanjana, remove the hand, I have to go to the room. But Sanjana was strangely going home to Reena. Reena was stealing her eyes and begging Sanjana to let her go. Reena says, Sanjana, look, I have to study. You said we all came here to study. Don't do all these unnecessary things. Listen to me. You too go and study. Our parents have spent a lot of money on us. Sanjana laughs at this, looks and says, What are my parents? But I don't have parents. They will not be hurt. Hearing this, Reena is even more surprised. Reena understands that perhaps a spirit or phantom has entered Sanjana, and maybe no one. The soul of the same woman who was asking for clothes, because Sanjana is talking like the same woman who is deluded. Reena can't bear it anymore. She angrily removes Sanjana's hand and immediately runs out. Sanjana also runs after him and catches Reena's vacation. Reena tries to redeem herself, but Sanjana's grip was very strong. She throws Reena to the ground and says, How dare I refuse? I must eat. Reena starts crying and says, Sanjana, please, what are you doing all this? Leave me alone. But Sanjana makes Reena stand up and slaps her 2-3 times. Then she says that I will not take revenge for my insults so easily. I will torment you. And after saying this, Sanjana starts beating Reena. Reena was so nervous that she could not even save herself, so she fought with Sanjana. What would she do? She thinks she made a big mistake. She had the phone for so long. If she wanted, she could have called another friend or her home, or perhaps told her teachers. Someone would have helped him, but he thought it wasn't such a big deal. Reena once again thinks of going to the kitchen and tries to get her phone. But Sanjana doesn't even let her go to the kitchen. She beats Reena a lot. Then Reena sees no other way but to go out of the house. Reena dares to do so.
She tries to fight, but Sanjana had hurt Reena a lot. After a lot of effort, Reena gets out of the house, but he doesn't know what to do now. Whom to ask for help? It was 9 p.m. There were a couple of people walking in the street, but Reena was nervous. Seeing her panicked face, a man who lived in the same street asks Reena, What happened? Why are you so nervous? It's all right. Reena was about to tell the man something when her eyes went to the door, from where Sanjana was staring at Reena and this. Seeing this, Reena quickly breaks into a house. As soon as she enters the house, she sees that everyone is eating there. Those neighbors also knew Reena. Seeing Reena coming barefoot in a panic, a woman of that house asks Reena, Hey son, what happened at night? Seeing Reena crying like this, everyone leaves their food and comes to her. Everyone asks her why she is crying. But Reena didn't say anything properly. Later, then Somvati says, There was a girl Sanjana who lived with Reena. Where is she? Ask him, maybe he will tell you what happened. Then Somvati's son Arjun goes to Reena and Sanjana's room and finds the door locked. He knocks on the door, but Sanjana doesn't open the door. So Arjun comes back and tells his mother that Sanjana is not opening the door and the door is locked from inside. Hearing this, Reena composes herself and then puts the incident in front of Somvati and her family, which no one believes when they hear it. But there was an elderly woman in their house. She was Arjun's grandmother, and the people of the locality often called her Amma. He was quite old, probably around 90. Amma was also listening to Reena's words. When Reena finishes her whole thing and starts crying once again, then she comes close to Amma, Reena, and puts her hand on her head and says, Daughter, don't worry, everything will be fine. I'll go to your house and see. What's the point? Amma used to carry a stick and could not even speak properly. Hearing this word from his mouth, the family members were a little shocked. Somvati says, Oh Amma, but you can't even walk properly. What are you going to do? Let it be, we'll take care of it. Amma says that you are thinking of it as a small thing. It's not that small. About 35 years ago, when there were no pukka houses here, the news of a witch spread in the nearby village. Everyone becomes very quiet when they hear the name of the witch. Somvati asks, the witch's mother? Says yes, 35 years ago, a woman from Assam came to us. She was a widow and always kept a veil. Many of the women here saw his face, tried to see his face, but she didn't show her face. It was later found that half of his face was burned, and that is why his family was not accepting him. Her family members had thrown him out after seeing the shock, and when she reached her maternal home, no one accepted her there because she was a widow. In such a situation, who would bear her burden? So she had reached Rajasthan by stumbling from door to door. The people here had no problem with him staying here, but no one would give him work. The reason for this was his face. But still the people used to give him food and water. She became known as a beggar. People didn't even know his name. He was called a beggar. In the beginning, she used to ask only food from beggars, but then all of a sudden, she started asking people for cloves. Now at that time, people did not pay so much attention to this. People thought that maybe this beggar was cooking its own food by bringing water and adding oil and spices. That's why people used to give him cloves. But then I noted that this beggar comes to ask for cloves only once every week, so why would she do this? Right, when people investigated it, it was found that it does black magic. Now at that time, people did not think that why does this black magic work? What does it get? But just fear arose in the minds of the people, and people pushed him out of the village. It didn't stop there. She changed her beggar sari and came back to the village and started asking people for food. Very soon people came to know that this was the same beggar who had been pushed out. When people came to know that it was the same beggar, people started beating him. Village, the whole crowd pounced on him. The beggar kept asking for a tip for her life, but no one took pity on him. Hit him so much that he lost his life. But when his veil rose before he died, everyone was terrified to see his face. Half of his face was sore. There was no flesh on half of his face, and as he was dying, he said, I am going, but my soul is not going anywhere. She will come again to take her revenge. And it will keep coming until my revenge is complete. People were afraid of the curse given by that beggar.
But he did not pay much attention to this, but gradually, the people of the village started dying in a mysterious way. Even a good young man was dying without any illness, without any trouble. People began to feel that there was a curse of this beggar. This was confirmed when people saw the beggar roaming around the village with a veil. Then at night, the sound of a song was heard. People had heard that song a lot, and I still remember that song. The beggar was seen mostly at night, and some people said that she would come to her house to ask for food. Those who refused to give him food, she used to kill them, and some supernatural thing happened to those who gave them food. People were very afraid of the beggar's soul. Then all the people of the village met Panditji and told him their problem. Then Panditji told that yes, it is the curse of that beggar, and this beggar is not roaming as a soul, but as a witch. The soul is not as powerful as the witch is. Panditji also told that he will definitely take revenge from the people of this village. In response to this, he interrupted this village so that this village could be free from the curse. Panditji gave everyone an enchanted piece of iron and told everyone to bury it in the courtyard of their houses. That woman will never come to your house. Everybody did the same. Then, after that, the beggar's soul stopped appearing. Then gradually this place developed and is in front of you today. Somebody asked, but Amma, when everyone had blocked their homes, how did that beggar come again? Maybe it's a beggar roaming here. Then Rina says, Amma, you were saying, do you remember the song that Bakaran used to sing? Can you play me that song? Because my friend was also humming a song. Amma then sings the same line that she used to sing in her time. The night was thick and silent, and the fairies laughed in the turmoil. After hearing this, Rina panics and says, Amma, what? Is it really the same song? Amma says, yes, son, it's the same song. Rina is terrified for a while. She goes back to Amma's narrated history and begins to imagine what happened at that time. It must have happened. And then Rina asks, Amma,
What is the meaning of this song? Then Amma says, she steps swiftly into the silence of the deep night. Her laughter echoes like a storm, and she oscillates among the whites. We also came to know the meaning of these lines when people started dying in the village in a mysterious way. White people used to be the victims of the beggar's hatred. All the white and beautiful people in the village were dying. And maybe it's because the beggar was ugly, and it was because of her ugliness that she got hate. Somebody says, but Amma, now you tell me what we should do with Sanjana. This poor thing is very upset. Somebody asks Rina, son Rina, did you tell me about this in your house? Rina says, no, auntie. What can I say? If I tell you, my family will get upset and they may even take me away from here. I don't want to leave here. I want to study and become something. Somvadi says, but the son should have talked to his house once too. God forbid if something untoward happens, who will be responsible? And then Sanjana is struggling with this problem. We are at Sanjana's house. You should also tell them. If something happens to him, his family will blame you. Rina also likes Somvadi's words. Rina says, yes, auntie, you are right, but I don't remember her house number. We need Sanjana's phone to talk to her family who is at home. Amma says, come on, we are all going to your house. Somvadi, Arjun, and Amma go to his room with Rina. The door was still locked from inside, but Arjun breaks the door and enters, then sees that all the belongings of the house are scattered here and there. He gestures to call all the people in. Rina calls out to Sanjana, but Sanjana doesn't answer. Rina gestures to Amma and Arjun as to which room Sanjana lives in. So Amma and Arjun carefully go to the room and see Sanjana sitting with a veil with a chuni. Amma gently calls out to Sanjana, Sanjana, son Sanjana. But Sanjana doesn't answer. Then Arjun's eyes go to Sanjana's hand. He had a large knife in his hand and there was blood on his hands. From Arjun, Amma says, Amma, what is all this? Just then Amma and Arjun see that blood is dripping from Sanjana's veil. Arjun dares to get even closer to Sanjana. As soon as he puts his hand on Sanjana's shoulder, Sanjana turns around screaming and lifts her veil. Seeing Sanjana's face, Arjun gets scared and runs out of the room on the opposite foot. Amma also gets nervous seeing Sanjana's face. Sanjana had mutilated half of her face with a knife. There was blood all over the place. As soon as Arjun tells somebody and Rina about Sanjana,
Both of them immediately go to the room to see Sanjana, then the ground slips under their feet too. Rina starts crying. She can't control herself. But Somvati and Arjun quickly call an ambulance and take Sanjana to the hospital. It was not so easy to take Sanjana to the hospital as she was killing everyone. But still, with the help of a couple of people from the neighborhood, she is admitted to the hospital and treated. Rina calls Sanjana's house and tells her about her condition. Hearing which the family members neither is convinced, but they immediately leave for Rajasthan. On the other hand, Rina was very upset about Sanjana's condition. She tells Amma, somehow fix Sanjana. She's a very nice girl. He has supported me a lot. I don't see this condition of him. Amma says, don't worry. Come with me to the priest of our temple. He will definitely help us. Amma takes Rina and Arjun to Panditji, where Rina has narrated the incident that happened to her. Listening to them, it hurts a lot. Then the Pandit tells Rina to bring me a hair of Sanjana. If we burn that hair in clove oil, then that beggar will get rid of it. Rina and Arjun go to the hospital and pluck 1 or 2 of Sanjana's hair. Panditji burns 5 cloves in mustard oil without delay, and as he was burning his hair, Sanjana was writhing in pain. On the other hand, the doctor could not understand what was happening to Sanjana. But after 15 to 20 minutes of torment, Sanjana falls unconscious. Then at least 2 or 3 team.
When she regained consciousness hours later, she was fine and recognizing everyone but was just crying. His body was in a lot of pain. So the burnt oil begins to have a strong foul smell, due to which he understands that the wrath of the beggar is over. Panditji gives an enchanted kalawa to Rina and Sanjana. He says only God knows how that beggar came back and why. But yes, you won't be in any danger from that beggar anymore. You wear this wrist.
Reena also makes Sanjana wear a kalava and wears it herself. When Sanjana's family comes, they are also very upset to see the condition of their daughter. He sent his daughter to study, but such a big accident had happened to him. Half of Sanjana's face was disfigured. He also underwent facial surgery which healed his face to a great extent. But it did not happen the same as before. After this incident, Sanjana's family took her back to Bihar. Reena, who was lonely at the time, did not want to be alone anymore. He also told his family about the incident that happened to him. Hearing this, his family also wanted to take him back. But he made a lot of requests to his parents and then his parents got him admitted to the hostel. Friends, to be honest, I also feel very bad about this. The condition of Sanjana's family was also very poor. And because she was from Bihar, then you know that Bihar is a poor state of our country. And if someone wants to study and move forward from there, then it is a big thing. But what happened to Sanjana here was really terrible. However, I did not have a conversation with Sanjana. His friend told me the whole incident. But I feel bad for Sanjana from the bottom of my heart. And if I ever meet Sanjana, I will definitely try to help her in some way. So friends, this was our story today. How did you like the story? Please do tell me by commenting in the comment box. And also those who haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please subscribe to the channel. Take care of yourself and your family. I will meet you soon with a new story. Thank you.